Welcome back, everybody. Today I want to show you a new LLM project. This is going to be my newest Ace Hollow FS system. So if you've been using any of those cognitive enhancers that I keep releasing over on my GitHub, then you will be able to enjoy the new features of this one.
If you don't want to miss my next video, hit that subscribe button, because YouTube ain't going to tell you.
Basically, this one is going to be called my narrative Spittoon. It's the Mark II because the Mark I was originally a ChatGPT-4 agent. So it comes with the Ace Hollow FS v3 core cognitive enhancer, but it also includes a whole bunch of extra modules. So you'll find the project instructions inside project instruction folder. We'll take a quick look at them. So essentially it's calling out each of the modules, which these are like the core modules of this particular agent. And it's also, I've left a gap here for you to add your own, and I'm going to show you a completed project as well. I'm not just going to let you guess. You can actually have the agent rewrite this for you as well. So it's not like you have to, I'm not trying to catch you out with these extra ifs and buts, but this is actually a huge upgrade over the Universe engine, because what it's going to do is any file outside of these core modules is going to be assumed to be user documentation, and that's going to get used for scope widening. So it'll assume that those are your user files, and it's going to place them inside the input folder. Okay, so let's just give a quick rundown of what the core modules are. So we've got the ghost writing style, the holographic tutor, which comes with several functions: score, review, critic, and I forget the last one, weakness. And essentially this is all aimed, and obviously the narrative Spittoon module, right? Narrative Spittoon is basically because, but therefore, if I think right, hang on, I need to just check that. Yeah, it looks like I remembered it correctly. So narrative Spittoon is essentially an improved narrative framework. So implicit causality, substituting because, subtle conflict introduction, substituting but, and organic consequences, substituting therefore. So these are all agents on their own, and what we're doing is we're giving this narrative Spittoon Mark II the ability to interweave these different functions so that it can become an even more powerful agent or assistant. The holographic tutor, as I said, has a bunch of different instructions, but essentially you have score, which is going to provide a score for your work out of 100, review, which is going to take on the role of a university creative writing tutor, critic, which is going to be a professional publisher, so it'll do market viability analysis and things like that. And then weakness, this is more of a sniper. It's not going to suggest improvements, although you can ask for them. That's not what the tool is for. You know, any LLM will offer to suggest new passages that you could, it'll offer to write for you, but that's not how I use this. What it's going to do is it's going to give a quote of the first 5 words, so you can quickly find in your manuscript an area which it's identified as needing improvement. So really, this is like having a professional able to just read your book at hyper speed and then give you a list, be like, this area looks weak and why, this area looks weak and why, and then you can use Control F, you can search your manuscript using the first 5 words that are quoted. So it doesn't waste tokens by printing out entire paragraphs and saying it's just going to give you the first few words, and you should be able to search your draft and find things that way. So essentially that's what the holographic tutor is. If I now go to the ghostwriting style, because we didn't look at that one, you can obviously change this up as well. It's all written in XML, nested in XML tags. So there's there's more ways you can use this and extend it. So essentially what we've got is the ability to have this core system set up, right? And again, I'm going to show you over here. This is something which I've put together using some of my, this is like an actual applied system. So if you remember the Universe engine, we have the Mermaid file format flowcharts, we have the JSON cross-reference, and there's a couple of other ones in here, void chamber. These are all system nomenclature, so like glossary of terms, okay? And then obviously you've got Machine Cult Genesis, which is like a rewrite of the creation mythos. What else have we got in here? And then we've also got, you know, more technical specs for how the megastructure in this particular story. So you throw everything in here, right? You throw everything in here. Oh, and obviously my characters are all defined. So all of the characters in my story, I've defined them here. Speech styles, which is again for every character by name. So, and again, they're all nested in XML tags. And basically what it does is it expands the ability of the AI to assist you within your world. So here is my world. This is all, you know, because it's a real book, I've used my notes to write these extra modules which I've put in. So I hope you can see that this is what you get, okay? But anything outside of this is going to be assumed to be user input. And so it's going to dynamically map everything to the input folder in the holographic file system. So all of these files are essentially organized and placed into an area which it can then draw from. And it's expandable. You can add as much as you want here, really. And then if I look here, this is the draft of my actual story. It's about 13,000 words. So it represents a novella, I guess. It's not like a full-length book, but it is a full story. I still need to do a lot of work on it. It's a draft I was working on in 2023, and I just haven't really got around to doing anything with it this year. But it's a real-life example which I can use to demonstrate this kind of thing and see that it's actually working. Now, if I was to take a look at the critique, let me have a look. Can we actually look at this? Yeah, open it with brackets. So if I have a look at the error opening file, that's fine. So if you take a look at the publisher's critique, okay, it's going to give me all kinds of stuff like genre positioning, target readership, commercial potential, publication format options, market positioning recommendations, commercial enhancement opportunities, unique selling points, comparative titles, publisher targeting, professional recommendation, and then finally you get a conclusion. Now this book isn't finished. I'm not ready to publish it yet, but if you're working on a story that you've written yourself, the idea is not to write with AI, but to have an assistant that helps you write your own book. So we're using the power of adaptive capacity elicitation and the holographic file system to organize all of your notes and then do analysis, high-level analysis on your manuscript. So then you can quickly identify areas of weakness, like I said. I mean, we're going to take a look at that in a second. In fact, if I just go for weaknesses, we'll get an output there. As you can see, it does core issues only with no solutions offered, because I don't want him to write my book. I want to write my book. But I wouldn't mind having it look over my draft and say, actually, this chapter here, this is weak and here's why. Do you see what I mean? And then for another, you know, this is sort of what it does. So every time, obviously, if you go in and fix this, the next time you run it, it will identify the next area, the next weakest areas. So you can just keep running this over and over and over, and then you can start writing, and you know, you can address the weaknesses which it's identifying, and then it will move on to other areas. Obviously, you can ask it, you can tell it, oh, find the next 3. And the reason I've done it in just 3 is just to cut down on token costs, so it's not like regurgitating lots of your prose. So as you can see here, it's given me a quote, so I can easily search my manuscript and find the bit of the book which it's complaining about or has identified as weak. So that would be the weaknesses section. If I take a look at critique, I think critique is the publisher, so we've already looked at that. If I take a look at the review, yeah, there we go. So the review section, this is going to be mainly aimed at people who are this is simulating a tutor. So it gives me a full analysis. gives me some areas of development, recommendations for revision, and a conclusion. The idea is like, you know, say you're at university and you are doing creative writing, you might be able to give your draft to your your tutor. Yeah. But obviously, even if you are like paying to be one of the world's top universities, you can't just send him a draft at 2 a.m. and have him instantly give you feedback. And that's something which this tool can do. So again, not to write for you, but to assist you in writing better so that you can improve your own writing and it's 100% yours. That's the difference here. There are lots of writing tools and they usually write for you. But what I'm doing is I have created a unique tool set which is essentially aimed at making your writing stronger. And then, you know, this is going to improve your ability because a lot of the feedback that you're going to get is actually really good. So like I said, I've used it myself. I think it's really useful. And that's why I'm bringing it out. Now there was another one. There was a score, and I think that one's missing. So I'll demonstrate how that works because I've got this project live. I've got it working, so I can just jump in and show you. But so first things first, obviously you want to clone the project. I've made it so that it works best with Claude projects. I do take these projects and put them into other LLM services. So it's not like, you know, you have to use Claude. You could use ChatGPT with an API, but you still got to pay for something. One day soon, I hope, we're going to be using an open source LLM, which is running on a local machine. But at the moment, the project setup is something which it just works so well with Claude. And he has such a huge attention window, it's kind of hard to ignore because he can be aware of all of these files and your full book when he's working with you, which is something that a lot of LLMs just can't do. So let's just step through this. So you're going to add all of these files into the Claude project, and then you're going to take the project instruction and use that for your project instruction. I'll show you that in just a second. And then, of course, you're going to be adding all of your additional materials. And like I said, anything outside of the defined core modules will be assumed to be based for your project. So this is customizable in any direction and extendable with as many materials that you actually have. Like I said, I've already shown it's got support for mermaid flowcharts, support for JSON, support for .md, .text, .pdf, I think it will even accept. So let's just take a quick rundown here. So the core modules, as I said, was the ACE HoloFS core cognitive processing and file system simulation. That's my holographic file system. Narrative Spittoon is for your fiction generation and library building. So it does have the ability to write for you. And then the ghostwriting style, it does have the ability to, so you could customize this to match your writing style. So it is totally possible for it to write for you. I've provided those tools, but I just think that it's better to use the holographic tutor myself. Obviously, these two things will help it to be better when it's giving you feedback. So that's why they're there, regardless of whether you use them. The virtual file system simulation is going to keep everything on Rails because, as I said, it just organizes all of the data into a more semantic structure, which is what the LLM needs to be able to give you the best performance. The 4 evaluation functions, that's part of the holographic tutor: score, review, critic, and weakness. I'll show you the score in a bit. Dynamic document relation mapping, so it's going to be able to actually dynamically map all of your notes so that even though, so for example, if you have a story that you're writing, you might have defined the world, you might have defined the factions, you might have defined all of the characters, so, but that's not going to be in the book in plain text. So a good example is a characters list, and then also the speech styles. So we've got a whole bunch of fleshed out characters. So every character has his own sort of, quirks, description, all that kind of business. And they all have a specific speech style. So like there's rules for how they talk to each other and how they interact with the world. And so obviously you need that to be consistent. And again, the nomenclature, and the glossary, these things they're not something which you would have written in plain English in the book, but they are important when you want somebody to come and review it, because it's sort of like, rules of the law. So a good example would be, good fan fiction, for example, follows the rules of the universe. And so by defining those rules, when you come to write your manuscripts, because you're not breaking your own rules, I think that will end with a much higher quality draft. So again, you don't want the reviewer to be reviewing a Star Wars fan fiction from the perspective of like War and Peace. Maybe you do, but I'm just saying, like it helps to be more consistent and have these rules defined. So that's the reason for that. And obviously I do encourage you to write your own ghostwriting style. Okay. And again, like I said, I'm showing you all these examples because this is what I would say a fully fleshed out version of the project. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is obviously drop everything into Claude projects. I'll show you that in just a second. And then we've obviously got the same, features from the holographic file system as usual. You can type ls like a Unix command, or you can conversationally say, show me the current directory contents. You can create new files in the chat and have them sit in the holographic file system, but these sorts of things will get dropped on a new chat. So this is why it's a good idea to actually have physical artifacts that you're adding into the project. Okay. So score document.txt will give you a score out of 100. Review document.txt will give you academic perspective for creative writing. Critic document.txt will give you publisher and market viability. So he's going to role play as a publisher. And then weakness is what I said before. It's going to identify areas for improvement. All right. Now, this is the big thing that separates this from the Universe engine, which I'd already previously released, which was kind of like the last iteration of this system, adding world-building documents. Yeah. So you can create your documents. It says .text or .md, but I've actually used JSON and .mermaid, which is a flowchart format that I know Claude understands. Again, this is another reason why I like Claude, because it's actually really capable. But an example of this would be adding the world geography, the political system, magic rules if it's a fantasy genre, and then character backgrounds, okay? I do recommend using nested XML tags so that, because I know that, again, Claude understands and works with those formats really well. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I got to show you on this side. So, and we've already had a look at the project instruction prompt. Again, if I was just to show you my complete project instruction for the Paradistro, as you can see here, it's been significantly expanded. So if I show you this is the default, and I've added extra stuff in the middle here, but there's also a couple of extra things I wanted to show you. So that would be the default template, which works fine. Okay, but I do recommend that you obviously add all of your stuff. So we've got the Universe core documentation, technical specifications, visualization resources. That would be the flowcharts. Okay, so this is like how the megastructure was built, all that kind of thing. But also, interestingly, because inside each of the assets that I've added, so the world, Paradistro, all of this sort of stuff, they're actually XML tags. So you can even define them here and have them kind of hooked into. So you can see that the setting is defined in world tags, the story is defined in story tags. So my manuscript, the whole book is inside story. And when I say story tags, I may as well just show you what that means. So if we just go to my book, see how it says story there? And if I go all the way to the last page, oh, it's missing. Oh, that's not good. It's missing. Okay. So normally this should have, okay, right. Wait, what? No, that's not it. So paradistro world with a slash. That's all you got to know. The same, that's XML tags. Okay. All right. It's got a slash at the end, right? Okay. So let's just come back. Okay. And then we'll have a look at an actual project. So here it is. It's right there. This is where the message prompt goes. Set project instructions. As you can see, this is right here. Okay. And then, so if I was to say now, have we got the draft there? There's the draft, right? So I'll say score, whisper, I'll put it in quotes because there's a space in it. Whispers underscore mankind space lost dash draft dot text, like that. So now it's going to use the score function to and it's 13,000 words, so it's amazing actually that it's even able to do this quickly. So let's see, 82 out of 100, we get 25 out of 30 for technical evaluation, 22 out of 25 for plot development, 18 out of 20 for character development, and 17 out of 25 for world building. So I'm not going to go through it here, but you know, this is kind of like what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get a score out of 100 for our draft so that we can quickly go, oh, okay. And it's going to give us a whole bunch of things, you know, like pacing in later chapters could be tightened. And I agree with that because it's a draft that I didn't finish. But this is a real world example. It's not just a paragraph of text or dropping a finished book that I didn't write in there. I actually have intimacy with this data, so I understand everything it's trying to tell me. So this represents a real world applied task for this tool. Okay. So if I was to say now review, so let's just copy that so I don't have to type the whole thing again. So if I say review, okay. And like I said, yes, you can write with this, but I don't. I give all of the tools out so that, you know, you can do what you want with them. It might be that you just want to write a few bylines. Like, an interesting thing about this is that, say you wanted to write the back of a cereal box, or, you know, the labeling for a toy that's merchandise to do with your book, then this will be able to do stuff like that. So I'll give you an example of that. So this is like a one-stop shop, really, and it's going to be almost like having an expert that's familiar with your whatever IP it is that you've written. So the idea is that you wrote it yourself, but you want to do like extra stuff that spins off from this. So I'll say, okay, please could you help me to write the text which accompanies a new merchandise collection of, I don't know, plush toys that represent each of the main characters. Say something like that, something really simple, which would just come off the top of my head. Okay. And so here we go. And as you can see, see what I mean? Our flagship plush captures George's sturdy architectural design with his distinctive angular head and broad shoulders. Made with metallic sheen fabric and featuring articulated joints, George can strike his signature contemplative pose with his hand on his geometric chin. His wise orange optics light up with a gentle press, and he comes wearing his ceremonial archive keeper's robe, height 14 inches. Now, I appreciate this stats. It doesn't know. I haven't told it. But the point I'm trying to make is that it can do stuff like this and it'll be really detailed and really well written. And obviously you could tell it, oh, actually he's 6 inches tall, and you know, but that's up to you. And the point is that it's like having an expert that actually read your whole book and knows it back to front, right? And because you've given it all of this extra information, it actually knows all of your notes too, which is something that you really can't get. Okay. And like I said, maybe that's a bad example, merchandising and marketing materials, but it's really the limit of application here is limited only by your own imagination. So it's sort of like, you know, I might say, please give me a t-shirt design. T-shirt design? I can't type. That communicates this project. So it's like really, really vague. Give me something vague. So it's going to do a t-shirt design. What on earth is it doing? I've never even seen this format. This is an SVG. Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't expect it to do that. That's crazy. See, even I don't know what it's going to do. So the overall circular shape represents the megastructure. Concentric rings suggesting its layered shell structure. A central Gothic window motif references the grand architecture of the archive halls where the philosophical debates take place. The subtle silhouettes of the main characters are integrated into the window design. I mean, okay, I didn't know. Technical circuit-like patterns around the edges hint at the machine civilization's nature. Monospaced font, computational aspect. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't expect it to do what it just did. But there you go. Maybe I want to make an image prompt, because we all do image generation around here. I'll say, suggest an image prompt which I can use with AI image generation for this design. I've not spelled image right, but that's okay. And it's going to give me an image prompt. And then it's going to give me more of them. Okay. So like I said, I don't want to get too crazy, go down this route. But, you know, it's possible for you to use this tool in a multitude of ways to help you to improve your writing, finish your draft, write all kinds of spin-off materials. And like I said, because it's expandable, it's easy to either customize your own speech styles as well. So you could have it write, passages of text. It could totally do that. But, you know, you're just going to have to edit it all anyway. So, I mean, like I said, I like to write my own stuff. But anyway, it's totally up to you what you use the tool for. So there it is. That's pretty much everything I got to show you. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.